And the Patriots are at the top, and I think they're going to win. I really do. I can't bet against them
Such
because
a long way to get to the predictions.
it's all about the tangents, connections, man. It's about the transitions.
Anyway, do you think they're going to win?
I think the Patriots are going to win.
How big?
I just can't bet
Field
against
goal,
them anymore.
touchdown?
I think it's going to be an offensive shootout because that's what the Patriots Super Bowls have been. They're fine with doing an offensive shootout. They just want to take away your number one. So it comes down to what is Belichick going to take away because the Rams have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
Gurley wasn't even utilized in the last game.
And they still won.
So are you going to take away a guy that they didn't need last game? Like that's the question here. And I think Belichick's going to figure it out. I can't bet against him. He is the Jedi Master. He knows all the mind tricks.
Seems to figure it out 3 times.
I think it's
Some pretty miraculous plays at least once.
Yeah.
The giant David Tyree.
That's
That's one of the most improbable plays in sports history.
Well,
watch that play, and Eli Manning should have been sacked twice. Like that play should never have even happened.
David Tyree didn't even play that season. He was just in on that game, basically just in that game.
Yeah.
He only played very few snaps on the season.
It took a strip sack for the Eagles to win because if they don't get that, it's still like Patriots probably.
Well, the game's up in the air. Yeah,
still gonna score. So then it's but that sealed it because the Patriots weren't gonna stop.
The Eagles was a close game, but what you've seen is when you put pressure on Tom Brady, especially up the middle, but when you can pressure Tom Brady with 4 guys or
and the Rams will very
4 to
well
5.
be able to
And the
do
Rams
that.
will do that.
Yeah, so that's really what it can come down to.
This is
Because
what we talked about last week.
that's how the Giants beat the undefeated team is
Yep.
because they
Dominant
had a
defensive front.
Hall of Fame level
Defensive
line. They had OCU Manura, Michael Strahan. I don't think JPP was on that team.
No, Justin Tuck was though.
he was on
Justin Tuck, yeah, Justin Tuck was on that team.
JPP
And
was on.
He was on the second
one.
team, yeah. Still with Justin Tuck. And that's what it is. It's when you can get athletic defensive linemen to make Brady
Eagles had that last
feel
season.
pressure. That's what it
And
is.
the Rams will have it this.
That has happened 3 times. And so can the Rams figure out a way to get pressure on Tom? Or has Belichick found what is their heel and their weakness?
Yeah.
Can Brady get those 6-yard dunks out or the passes to Sony Michel before these guys get to him because they know this is their weakness?
I think the Rams' weakness is their linebackers. They have a great defensive line, a pretty good secondary.
When it comes to defense, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's their
and that's not
linebackers.
saying anything bad about
So-
the linebackers.
They have great corners and great defensive
That's what-
line
yeah,
play.
the rest of the
They
team-
traded Ogletree though to get somebody on the defensive line though.
Fowler probably.
Fowler was the one who made
Fowler was
the hit
pickup.
in overtime to get the interception. That was
Finally
Fowler.
lived up to his first round billing.
Number
Fine.
3 overall.
But yeah, I'm only saying that because the other 2 are so great. It's just
And that's the
Act
guy
of
who's going to have to
elimination.
cover James White out of the backfield.
and
Who
that's
is
what that's what
incredible.
the Patriots did all day long.
How are
with
you
the
going to
Chiefs.
cover? Yeah,
Because
that's,
the
the
Chiefs
Falcons.
that's how they beat the
linebackers-
Falcons.
That's how they beat the Falcons. James White.
Is
Mhm.
I'm so excited to watch that game, dude. I'm so excited to
Well,
watch
and
this
that's-
game this week.
And that's the thing too is it always works on teams with weak linebackers. The Chiefs have weak linebackers.
Yes.
So they were dinking and dunking all day to the running backs, and you're getting Edelman on a drag. And then when they put Gronk out wide, it was so obvious. It's like they're gonna throw to him.
Tony Romo.
Tony Romo. Well, he said, and I'm like, and when they lined Gronk up the second time in overtime,
You don't like that.
No.
when they
No,
lined
dude.
Gronk up the second time in overtime, Ashley was there, and I'm like, they're gonna throw it to Gronk. It's gonna be a first down, and then right over the top, and I'm like, that safety didn't even cover it. Why would the safety go in? Why would he not cover
See,
over the
it's
top?
funny. See, and I see where you're coming from with Tony Romo because you're not gonna believe me, but I was calling the play. I was calling the plays on the last couple of games
I don't
too.
think
like
it's super hard.
it's
to
not
do
that
what he's
hard to
doing.
do. That's what I'm saying. It's not that hard to
Come
do.
on.
No. For,
No, I was,
for
'cause
something of his level.
You see when you see Gronk go up top 1-on-1, it's going to Gronk.
Yeah, he's
Like that. Like that's all I'm saying.
Because a
Like it's
corner
going to go
can't
to
it's
cover.
his
Gronk.
job to comment on things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what
and
he's
he's
doing.
going to comment on motion.
Because when I watch
Well, maybe
when
we
I
should
watch
do our own commentary.
when
on
I
games.
watch
I can
sports
call touchdowns.
when I watch sports
I can call Devontae Adams. I can call Jordy Nelson on the back shoulder.
Yeah.
I could.
I
Absolutely.
say things and then they'll say the exact
I'll be
same things on the
play-by-play.
TV like right after. It's
Yeah.
weird. That happens to me a lot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's really weird.
It happens.
But that
be,
makes me feel like I could do that. Like anyone really can do that
I'll
job.
be Al Michaels. I'll be the play-by-play.
See, I couldn't do play-by-play.
I could do
I'll do it.
play-by-play before I could do color. I
Really?
think, yeah, absolutely.
I can do both.
Would-
I'm so good.
You could be the Bill Walton, man. But I don't think Tony Romo deserves all the credit he's getting as like he should be he's going to be a coaching candidate, because there's a lot difference between sitting up above and saying, "Oh, I see that motion, so here's what I think they're going to do," and getting it right
What
one
they
time out
should
of
do.
5. What they should do,
Yeah.
maybe what they're doing, maybe it's misdirection, and then being on the sideline where you can't coordinate that to
Who's
your
NFL
He's not
quarterback.
making. He's not making the call
he's
based
not
on.
he can't make a defensive
He's not basing the
adjustment.
call exactly.
He can't. There's nothing he can do even from when he calls that play. So, wow, you know what? Doug Peterson probably knew what the Patriots were doing a few times when they lined up, and he just said, "Oh my gosh, here
stop
it
it."
comes."
Yep.
You know, and that happens. And I would not want Tony Romo as my coach if I'm any team in the NFL.
I don't know why you're ragging on Tony Romo. He's great.
Example number 1,
He's
John
great
Gruden.
at his job.
Example number 1, John Gruden. Pull
But
a guy
John-
out of the booth. You never lose when you're in the booth. That's something I think I heard Tony Dungy say that. He said you never lose in this
Are
game.
you trying to do a Tony Dungy voice?
No, that's not my Tony Dungy. I don't think I could do a Tony Dungy. I'm the only one that said my Super Bowl prediction.
I know. I was thinking that too.
Come
I was
on.
like,
You
but
know I'm
we
taking
kept,
the
we
Rams.
kept talking.
I'm taking the Rams.
My example of Tony, you don't want Tony Romo is John Gruden.
Well,
Because we can't have two
No.
times where we just devolve into John Gruden talk.
he's haunting our show.
Because you know what this is. This is John Gruden talk. Deuce.
Tell you what, he's a football gremlin.
Okay, no.
That's the title of this episode. It's
predictions.
Football gremlin.
Jake, you like the Rams.
Yeah, I've been hyping up the Rams.
How are they going to win?
The
Why are they
whole-
going to win?
The whole playoffs because, I kept trying to interject. And, well, I did a few times, but I think they'll do exactly what the Eagles did last season. Exactly what they did. They have just as much more, I think, firepower than the Eagles had last year in the Super Bowl. And the way that they've been playing in the second half of these games, last week in particular against the Saints, it's hard to pick against them. And they're going to get pressure with only 4 guys. They could probably just rush 3 and get pressure. And like I said, the thing that's going to beat them is underneath passes. That's the weakest point is the linebackers. You got Aqib Talib. You got
That's Patriots
Marcus
strength,
Peters.
though.
Yeah, I know that's going to be an issue, and that's why I agree with you. It's going to be a shootout, but it's going to end, I think, the same way as last year's did, where a defensive play by the Rams late in the game is going to win. They're going to get a strip sack
Aaron Donald makes a strip sack.
or an
At
interception.
least
It's going to
the
come
field
down
goal
to
to win the
the
game.
to the one
or
lightning
or
play.
Marcus Peters makes a pick or something like that. Like a defensive turnover is going to change the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Rams defense, I'm not knocking the Patriots defense. It's just the Rams have more stars. And I think that's what's going to help in the end. That's what worked for the Eagles.
Yeah, I like how you put that. Like, I think the defense will win the game because of the offense. The offense will keep them in the game because they'll be able to score, but the defense will make that final play.
They're going to do what the
So
Chiefs
you're
take.
taking the Rams too,
I have the
Brandon?
Rams as well. Yeah,
If the Chiefs
Oh,
could have gotten
man.
one defensive stop, they would have won that game.
I'm okay with being the only guy taking the Patriots. I can't bet
It's-
against Tom Brady anymore.
It's
Him and Bill Belichick, man. He didn't even play good in the AFC Championship game. He would have had a third interception,
yeah,
but
he
it was
threw
called
two.
back.
he had 350 yards though.
Okay, it's
Yeah, but you're
2019.
throwing all over the fourth
No
quarter.
one, people don't have 350 yards though.
That's a little more average than it used to be, especially at this level of a playoff game.
I'll give the Patriots
They're all
credit.
shootouts.
They made it
What
interesting.
was the lowest passing yards? I bet it was close to 300, 350. I don't know though.
No, I bet it was in the 200s.